Hey all, Hibber here. So if you've dived into Baldurs Gate 3 and you've played Divinity Original Sin 1 or 2 beforehand, then you will know that the two games share a lot more than just the Divinity songs that you can make the bard play in Baldurs Gate 3. So especially both games share an awesome local co-op mode. And in this video, I'm going to put the two modes up against each other, and we'll find out which one is the best. Because Baldur's Gate, in my opinion, is an excellent single-player game, and probably just a little bit better than Divinity 1 and 2. Because you can romance your party, and there's a lot to do, and it's not better than Divinity, but it's just different, I think. But when it comes to local co-op play, or couch co-op, whatever you want to call it, the two games are actually quite different. First thing that you notice is all the die in Baldur's Gate, and I don't really like that. I think it takes away from the experience. It kind of jolts me out of what's going on. Then I have to roll dice, so like what's going on? So I don't really like that. I much prefer Divinity's way, where dice is still there, you just don't see it really. The character creation I also prefer in Divinity, to be honest. Of course, it's far more advanced in Baldur's Gate, but when it comes down to skills and abilities and skill points and stuff like that, I prefer Divinity's system. I really do. I think there's too much in Baldur's Gate about deception, perception, and all that stuff, and I know it's not bad at all. It's just different, and I prefer the more simple way that Divinity really takes this on, in my opinion. Of course, that's got nothing to do with local co-op, but I just wanted to put it out there really. So the biggest difference that you're going to pretty much figure out immediately as you play is that you don't have the dynamic split screen in Baldur's Gate 3 like you do here, and I'm showing it as it is in Divinity Original Sin 2. So what that means is that when your two characters, if you're two players, right? If your two characters are close together, the screen doesn't split. It shows the whole view in one screen, which makes a lot of sense. And I much prefer that. It's only when you walk away, like in this example here, that the screen will split. And Baldur's Gate is locked to split screen. And especially during fights, I much prefer Divinity's way of showing the whole battlefield on one screen, and then whoever player's turn it is the one that controls the camera to set up your attacks. I just think that it makes the gameplay flow better. And it's just an easier way to get an overview of the battles, because sometimes the battles are huge with many enemies in many different positions, and it's hard to get a good overview when you only have half the screen. And if all characters are next to each other, just like they are in this example here, there's really no reason to have split screen. You might as well just show the whole thing in one screen, and like I said, players just take turns to control the camera and do whatever they want. That's the way it works in Divinity, and honestly I think that's the better way. Now, another thing I prefer in Divinity that's not also just to do with the couch co-op system, it is the action point system. I think that's much better than Baldur's Gate more rigid system, where you can just do one attack per turn and one move and one bonus, and that's it. I much prefer, in Divinity, where you can say, okay, I want to use this very strong attack that takes up 4 action points, so I only have 1 point left for moving, or I want to run across the map and use 5 points on moving and 1 point on a weak attack, for example. I know Baldur's Gate is similar, but it's not the same. You cannot just attack twice or even 3 times. You can only attack once in Baldur's Gate, and I think that detracts from the enjoyment of the game, because you have to wait for your next turn to finish off a trap that you've set up, and I just think it's more satisfying the Divinity way, really. So that brings me to the last and probably the biggest difference between Divinity and Baldur's Gate 3. and that is the fact that Baldur's Gate 3 does not have the Lone Wolf talent. So Lone Wolf talent is for people who want to play the game 2 players. So basically, you know, flicking off the last 2 players in the party and just play a normal 2-player game. Divinity allows you to do that by pretty much buffing those 2 characters so they are about as powerful as 4 characters would be. And it gives you more action points, and you can do a lot more in one turn, and it's actually a lot more fun. Now Baldur's Gate does not have this, and it's actually quite a problem, I think. What that means in Baldur's Gate is that if you want to play 2 players and just 2 players, well, it's bad luck, because you have to bring the other 2 players along. You have to have a party of 4. I mean, you can dismiss your, you know, the 2 players in your party and send them back to camp, but you'll be woefully underpowered then, because you will be missing out on half your strength basically. So without a Lone Wolf perk, there's no way of buffing 2 characters to take on the role of 4 characters, and that's a major oversight, I think, unfortunately. So in my opinion, Divinity 1 and 2 are better games when it comes to local co-op, and Baldur's Gate is probably just a centimeter better when it comes to single play or, you know, online play. So in conclusion, although the games are almost entirely similar, really, there's a lot of differences, and Baldur's Gate 3 does not have dynamic split screen, and it does not have the Lone Wolf perk. So that means that people who like to play 2 players and just 2 players, they're gonna have a tough time, because you're gonna have to level up your whole squad, and you know, so it's a lot of micromanagement with 4 characters instead of just 2. So personally, I much prefer just having to kit out and level up 1 character. In Baldur's Gate 3, when I have to level up my character, my main character, and also the AI controlled character, I get a little impatient, and I kind of just go click, 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 click on the other character, and I don't want to do that. So in my opinion, I think a Lone Wolf talent is needed in Baldur's Gate 3, and it shouldn't be too hard to do. I know modders on PC have already done it, so Larian, there's no excuse. Give us this, and then you will have the perfect role-playing game in Baldur's Gate 3. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you out there.